This is Perth Tonight with Chris Ilsley on 882 6PR.
Yep, we're going to have a chat to Ben Aylett in just a tick. In the meantime, Brendan joins us. G'day, mate.
G'day, Chris. How was your weekend, mate?
Not bad. What's happening?
No, not much, mate. I was expecting to say better than yours after yesterday's result.
Yeah, but you weren't able to say that. That's one of the reasons why I didn't sort of go into that with too much detail. I'm actually fundamentally deep down, I like to take mercy on people who are not happy.
Yeah, but look, Chris, I would have copped it on the chin. I just had a giggle about it. But look, it was a great time at the Optus Stadium yesterday, even though the umpires made a couple of silly decisions. But what I enjoyed about it, Chris, is just the getting into this. I mean, the train was packed going in and crowded, but going home, we were out in 20 minutes after the final siren down towards Gosnells, which was good.
So it cleaned out really well, did it?
Yeah, cleaned out very well. A credit to the PTA for it. But inside the stadium, it's just, the seating was just brilliant. We're undercover, cup holders, and, let me tell you, Chris, it's five times better than Subiaco by far. Yeah, we kind of knew that was going to be the case. I mean, despite the fact there were cynics, we did know it was going to turn out to be pretty good. Yeah, but look, Chris, it's going to be a really great stadium and a great asset for the Western Australian people. But what I noticed is there were more Sydney fans in the ground. I think it was because McGowan put 6,000 general public tickets as a maximum for the stadium, Chris. But I mean, it was a great game, but and there were also a few teething problems with the scoreboards on the stands, like freezing and not updating.
Mate, you get that. And can you imagine how the people operating it would feel?
Yeah,
there would have been someone standing there with a hammer saying, I'm going to put this out of its misery soon.
Yeah, maybe Ben Aylett could help him out.
Actually, we're going to talk to him in just a moment. Maybe we'll get him out there to fix up the signs, mate.
Yeah, I reckon, Chris. But the big scoreboard was working on the big screen, but just the boundary on the fence in the top tier, in the second tier wasn't working. But like I say, I think Ben Aylett might go out there and give it a good fixing, and she'll be right. And hopefully the replays will come up like they did in the first quarter when there was a free kick.
Well, let's hope so, Brendan. As always, a pleasure to have a chat to you. Yeah, there you go, Ben. There's a vote of confidence in you. I reckon you can do something about the message sign out there at Optus Stadium.
Look, I'll take a stab at it. I'm quite happy to have a look at just about anything.
Yes.
I was the sort of guy who was thrown into the deep end when it came to looking at things like industrial control systems, 160-ton presses, ships navigation systems.
Were you one of these people when, and I know I can remember in the early days, sometimes the techs at radio stations get a bit stroppy with this because you'd say that something was malfunctioning. And I remember there was one bloke who texted saying, now what's wrong with it? Right, so what they would want you to do was give a description of what it was doing so they could have some idea of where to start looking. Yeah. And this bloke would always turn around and say it's broken or it doesn't work.
Oh, I love those calls.
And they would be so, you'd see the look on their face like, yeah, thanks for your help, not.
Beauty, yeah. There's a reason why you're calling. We know it's broken.
Yeah, it's broken.
Yeah, I do get that sometimes, and I understand why, because sometimes it's really hard to put into words what's actually happened, and that's a part of what I do as well.
Yeah, we see
coach people through that.
Yeah, but sometimes when you're using it, doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
You go, well, okay, I'm trying to use it and it's not doing what I want it to do. Mm-hmm. So therefore to say it's broken is actually a fairly reasonable answer, because the average person isn't going to go and say, well, listen, I think it's got a stray voltage.
Yes.
And so therefore it's acting erratically.
Yeah.
And without warning.
Yeah, it's a truthful answer.
Yeah,
it is broken.
Which other techs would do. Yeah. And I remember one tech turned around once and said, well, what do you want me to do about it? And, of course, the answer that came back was not only beautiful, it was obvious.
Yeah.
Fix it.
Yeah. It's pretty much what I do and a lot of people like me do around the world. We just fix it. Yeah.
Well, Mary has some phone issues, so let's see if we can sort those out. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Mary.
I don't know if you can help me, Ben, but the last time this happened was this evening, and I was speaking to my neighbour.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, my phone rings, and I'm connected to somebody I didn't phone.
Wow.
And it happened a month or so ago when I was talking to my son.
Now, the person who you found yourself talking to, was it somebody you know?
Well, they are numbers that are in my contacts.
Okay.
When I was talking to my son, all of a sudden I've got Armadale Hospital saying it's Armadale Hospital here. How can we help you? And I had to say, sorry, it's wrong number.
Yeah.
But I did not dial it.
You probably didn't mean to dial it. What sort of a phone have you got there, Mary?
It's an iPhone 6.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What I think might have happened, and this does happen quite a bit, as you're holding the phone, sometimes you might fumble with it a little bit. It might move around in your hand a little bit, and you might just be unlucky in putting whoever you're talking to on hold and then accidentally going to your contacts and hitting the first thing under your thumb. So what was the name of the hospital that you called again?
Armadale.
Armadale. It'd be up near the A's.
Yeah.
The other person you might have talked to, were they also in the A's?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening.
But not the first one, you know.
Yeah. You got, I think you got fumble fingers there, Mary. It's as simple as that.
I don't think so somehow.
It's not intentional. I'm sure it's not intentional. It's just as you're holding the phone, you might have your thumb creeping over the front of the phone as you're holding it, which is normal. And you might be dialing other numbers while you're talking and you're not meaning to. So to quote Steve Jobs from many years ago, you're holding it wrong.
I see. It's a bit off-putting, I tell you.
Would be too.
Well, a bit off-putting, but also it's a chance to talk to somebody else, just to see how they're going too. You know,
Sorry, wrong number.
Yeah, wrong number. Hey, how are you going anyway? Spread a bit of joy.
Thank you anyway.
No worries, Mary. Now just remember, hang on to it on the edges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see, traditionally, it didn't do that.
No, because we didn't have, back in the day, we didn't have the buttons thing. It was just a handset.
It's a handset. That's the one thing they really need to overcome. I mean, don't forget in the early days of mobile phones, how you used to bum dial.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Actually, the wife still bum dials me.
You get to hear some really interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Hello, Anne.
Hi. I was just listening to Mary, and the same thing happens to me, and it's not my fingers. But
okay.
I can be on the phone to my daughter,
Yep.
and next minute, my sister's on the phone to me. So my sister rings me. She doesn't get any dial tone. It just goes straight through.
Yeah.
And I think I'm talking to one person. Next minute, I'm talking to someone completely different.
Oh, you got to be so careful what you're talking about too, don't you?
I know. It's scary. But, I mean, and that's not me touching wrong buttons. It's just another call will come in and somehow or other it kicks off the call I'm on and connects the second caller.
Wow. Okay. I would double check.
Now, that's not an iPhone. It's a Opus or something.
Alcatel.
No, Oppo.
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 Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the Oppo phones. Great phones, by the way. Really nice phones. Yeah, Android phones, iPhones, basically anything with a touch screen. They are sensitive and they'll even pick up things like a cheek. So when they call in, you might move your head around a little bit.
Even my cheek. All right.
Yeah, even the cheek will do it.
Okay.
What I think will help a lot of people when it comes to, as they're on calls, is probably headphones or a Bluetooth headset. So that way you don't have to have the phone up next to your face and you might accidentally mute it while you're on the phone. Yeah, it's just a lot easier.
Okay. I'll lose weight off my cheeks.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. Keep those cheeks.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Anne.
Thanks very much for that. By the way, if you'd like to have a chat to Ben, 922 11882. Who would have thought we'd dial him with the chin?
What is your word on the...
on 882 6PR. This is Perth Tonight with Chris Ilsley.
And Ben Aylett here talking technology. Don't forget benaylett.com. 1 L, 2 T's in Aylett. benaylett.com.au. That's where you'll find the man.
That's right.
And all the information. That's where you'll also find all of his contact information.
Yeah.
He's pretty happy. He's a man in the Hawaiian shirt. Don't know what we're going to do about the new car from... Just got himself a new car from City Toyota. And we don't know what he's going to do.
Yep.
Because it's a nice, sleek Toyota hybrid.
Yep.
Which is a very nice motor car. Had a look at it because you got it here. Went down to Petrolhead. Could not go and have a look at the new car.
Yes.
But we might have to put a mural down the side or something, mate.
I'm thinking of vinyl wrap, but I just don't know what to do. So if there's anyone out there who's sign writers or experts with graphic design or vinyl wraps or whatever, and you want to, I don't know, have a chat to me about it, I'm quite happy to talk to people about what potential designs should be on the side of the new Nerdmobile.
Yes. That's a good idea too.
Yeah.
Nerdmobile. Maybe that should have been your website. Nerd.com.
No, too late for that.
Okay, I thought so.
It's the benaylett.com Nerdmobile. How's that?
That's it.
There you go.
So you got the nice new car and everything. So
I had to get a new car. Yeah.
No, I know you've been talking about it for weeks.
It's something I've been planning, and I wasn't expecting it to happen this quick, but situations changed, and I needed to jump on it really, really quick. And I actually, I'm really, really thankful to the guys at City Toyota because they jumped on it, and I really needed some help, and they came to the party. I got to say, they really came to the party, and they delivered within 24 hours. And a massive thanks goes out to Phil Eads at City Toyota for really making this happen. I really thank you very much,
Good job, Phil. Yeah, and it turned out there was a few other issues as well that made it quite nice. So you got the nice car.
Yes.
Now all we got to do is work out how we can turn it, sort of give it the Hawaiian shirt kind of look.
Give it that touch.
Without destroying the Duco. When on the other hand, we've got a few spray painters around the place to say, give us a couple of days and we can do something for you, mate.
No, I don't want it tagged, so I'm not going to park it in the streets somewhere and have King or something scrawled all over it. I'm thinking maybe a vinyl wrap. That'd probably be the way to go. And I've seen some really good examples of that, so that could be something worth looking at.
Yeah, very much so, I would have thought. Now, while we're talking about stuff that's worth looking at, a lot of people now are getting concerned about what Facebook is looking at in relation to their particular information. And there's a fair bit out there, and let's face it, a lot of people quite happily put so much information about themselves on social media.
Yep.
They tag just about everywhere they're going. I mean, if you really wanted to, and I know that they'd have the programs to do this, to be able to follow some people's lives down to where they go for a cup of coffee, what time they leave for work in the morning. I mean, all of that stuff would be easy to find.
It is relatively easy to find, and thankfully, as users, we are able to go to a special part in Facebook. So if you actually go to my website at benaylett.com, there is a little story on it, and it also includes a link so you can easily get your own copy of the data that Facebook has on you. And I've done it myself, and after, let's see, I think it was about 600 meg of information, so 600 megabytes of information, which I was quite surprised the actual volume I managed to produce. I found out that I joined Facebook on the 15th of October in 2007. I thought it was probably earlier than that. I had a whole bunch of email addresses assigned to it, so it reminded me that I've probably got a few email addresses to close off, so I've left a few of those flapping out in the breeze. It's listed all my family members and education, where I've worked, the activities, the music. The list of music that I was interested in was pretty huge, and it's actually a little more than I expected, but yeah, you get that. Movies, and then the other interests as well. And this is just on the first page. And I encourage everyone to go and do the same and have a look at the information that Facebook actually has gathered on them. And this is due to every like and every click and every interaction you've had on Facebook, and also the advertisements. Now, the information from advertisements, it's just mind-blowing. So they actually come down as interests, and I'll see if I can pull it up, but it's just amazing what they've flagged as my interests. Let's see. So we go to ads, and it all comes down as a zip folder, which you then unzip onto your desktop, and it's a website on your computer that you can check all your details on. So Okay, so some of the ads topics, independent film. So yes, there's some independent film that I like. There's Mythbusters, independent music, because some of it's awesome. Hairstyle, okay. Robot, of course. Red Hot Chili Peppers, yeah, sure. Radio Shack, well, they don't exist anymore. But
no, but I can kind of see what we call Tandy.
Yeah, what we call Tandy. Danny Green, as in basketball. I don't know where that connection came from. But
I would have thought it was Danny Green as in boxer.
I would have thought the same too. So
maybe Facebook got the two confused.
Maybe they did, or maybe Facebook knows more about me than I know about myself. And that's quite likely too.
I was going to say, that's scary if it's true.
Yeah, well, Facebook remembers stuff better than I do, I'd say. I don't think Facebook would forget anything. It's not in their job.
I mean, it's a classic line about everything you say will be written down and will be used in evidence. In other words, because we write it down, we never forget.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. So it's all the instructions are there, and I've basically broken it down into a couple of links that you click on with a few basic instructions. So in about 2 or 3 steps, you can get your own copy of what Facebook has on you. So you'll find that at benaylett.com. Just look around for it, you'll find it, and you'll have access to all your data. And you can then decide what to do with it.
Well, I notice that there are people who've decided that they perhaps don't want to go near Facebook for a while. The whole business with Cambridge Analytica has left a stain in people's mouths. I mean, let's be honest, it's not something that they haven't been doing for all this time anyway, and the chances are up until this point they know everything they possibly could know about you because of all the information you've shared.
Yeah.
But apparently, according to a report there from the Australian.com.au, there are a number of people who are sort of opting out of it. But I kind of figure that all social media platforms will be collecting information because they're free.
It's kind of
and the only thing they've got to sell is you.
Yep.
And when we say you, that's what you're doing to potential advertisers.
Yeah, well, that's right. You are essentially the product. So your eyeballs, your attention, that's what's being sold by Facebook and their like to advertisers. So let's say if I wanted to do an advertisement, I'd want to advertise to people who are decision makers, so typically people over 18 years of age, and people who, I mean, ideally in business. So I like working on business systems and also home systems, but business systems are where it's at. So I'd look for people who own businesses, and if they show an interest in technology or show an interest in business in general, then I'd want to target those people. And being able to really tune my advertisements or my advertising campaign down to a particular type of person is incredibly valuable for me. And this is how Facebook manages to make billions and billions of dollars just by saying, yeah, you want to advertise to this group. And they just bundle it all together and they say, okay, give me your advertisement and I'll just smash it into this group and there you go, give me the money. And it is effective advertising. That's why it's so valuable.
So, I mean, the focus at the moment's been on Facebook, but all social media gathers information because it's in its commercial interest to do so apart from anything else.
Yep.
Is this going to rewrite the rule book for everybody? Or do you think the others are going to go, phew, it's only Facebook who got caught up in this one. We've escaped unscathed.
Initially, I'd say all the other social networks are going, we dodged this one. But I am sure that they're also looking at what's happened and then looking at their own business operations, their own backyard, and saying maybe we should be doing a few things differently, because Facebook, being the juggernaut that it is, doing business the way that it is that they're basically breaking new ground before anyone else. And even though they knew about this problem with Cambridge Analytica for about 2 years, and they didn't do what they thought they should have done quickly enough, they're learning from it. They're making a big apology. Is it sincere? I don't know. That's up to the individual if you buy it or not. Myself, I think I'm pretty tight as far as what I share on Facebook. I know that what I'm sharing is being shouted out to the public world, and it is going to be out there for all to see. So I just make sure that everything I share is something I'd be quite happy for my mother to see.
And that's what it all gets down to.
That's right, because you are shouting it out to the world.
Yeah. I suppose for a whole generation, though, they don't know anything any different.
Yeah.
So therefore, I mean, I see it as being a problem for the very young and the very old. The very young have grown up with it, so they don't see any need to keep anything in check.
Yeah.
And then you have older people who naturally learnt to trust people.
Yeah.
without realising that there are others who can see it now who can misuse it.
Oh, yeah, that's so right. It's, yeah, I haven't really thought about it that way. And I guess it shows because I give all the social media thing the old side eye when they ask questions. And I think, why do you need to do that? Why do you need to know that? And it's sort of how I've been operating all this time, but I haven't known any different, just like everyone else has.
That's right. So it's all about. 922 118 882 is our telephone number, by the way.
I'm Gareth Parker from the morning program, where Eagles CEO Trevor Nisbet said there need.
Perth Tonight with Chris Ilsley on 882 6PR.
Yes, indeed. Ben Aylett's here. benaylett.com.au is the website.
That's right.
What we said, 1L, 2 T's in Aylett. Just one thing. benaylett.com.
Yep.
G'day, Tony.
Oh, good evening. How are you guys?
Yeah,
well,
we're
Tony.
doing all right. How's your technology, mate?
Oh, not that good. I just wanted to ask Ben, the model of the Nokia you were talking about a while ago that they rehashed.
Oh, right.
The analog
Yes.
one.
It's not an analog one, but it's like the old analog one. It's the 3310. So let's see.
3310.
Nokia. Yeah, the Nokia 3310.
Okay.
And I just saw 3310 Coles pop up. So you might be able to drop into Coles and grab yourself a Nokia 3310. I also know that they are available at Harvey Norman.
Okay.
Where
Around
else?
$100 you said, wasn't it?
Yeah, around about that. And also JB Hi-Fi as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your help. Have a good evening.
No problems. All the best, mate, and enjoy your brand new Nokia 3310 when that comes out.
Funny, they're liked, aren't they? People.
Oh,
You know why? Because I think they fit the bill of being a nice, simple, straightforward phone, which is what people want.
Yeah, and that reminds me, I was actually
Cost you
interested.
$80 at Target.
Yeah. I was there it is, $80 at Target. Fantastic. That actually reminds me, I've got to go and get myself my Nokia 3310 because I can't let that go. I've got to go and get my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you just have to because you have to.
Yeah, and then I'll give it to the kids.
By the way, Ron has SMS'd.
Yes.
Question.
Right.
NBN is coming to Bayswater soon.
Yay.
Ben, what do we need to do? Presently, I only have a landline phone, but soon to buy a laptop. If Ben could please advise what kind of laptop?
Any old laptop. It really depends on what you plan to do on that laptop. So if you just want to check your email and have a look at things on the web, maybe watch a video or two, this is stuff that's handled quite easily by just about any laptop. You set yourself a budget around about $500-ish and you can go up. I wouldn't spend, for that sort of work, I wouldn't spend more than $1,000. So between the $500 to the $1,000 range should give you something that'll work. Pretty much any laptop will do it. And then as far as getting the NBN on goes, I would go to your existing telecommunications provider. I'm assuming that would be Telstra. And in the case of Telstra, you'll be getting Big Pond, and you just talk to them and you say, I'd like to have NBN services bundled in with my phone. I recommend to a lot of people that switching over the NBN can get a little messy. So when things go wrong, when you're switching over to technology like this, it is a big change for the telcos. If you're staying with the same telco, then there's a better chance that the transition will be smoother. If you're making a change from normal DSL services or old dial-up services to NBN and you're changing internet service providers, then things could get kind of confusing, especially when you're talking to those overseas call centres.
Yes. They have enough trouble understanding what you're saying.
That's right.
Never mind getting an idea of what you need.
Yeah, it can be fun and games. So,
it's all the time when phone companies sit down and say, how can we make our service suck even more? I know. Overseas call centres will do it.
I'm sure it's not intentional, but yeah, that's just one of the...
Of course it is. You know what it's about? It's about penny pinching, mate. It's about saving money.
Yes.
Save the money.
Save the money.
Never mind the fact that nobody can understand what the people in the overseas call centres are saying.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that none of them have any technological knowledge.
Yep.
Never mind the fact that none of them have any concept of how the system operates in Australia because most of them live in shanty towns.
Yep. Yeah, look, I've got to say I'm not a fan of the overseas call centre. Not one bit. And having to deal with overseas call centres just with plain English is problems enough.
I can't work out. See, I can't work out what happens. Some peanut puts their spreadsheet and says, you know how much we can save?
Yeah.
If we close this place in Australia and we open up some call centre in Asia or the subcontinent somewhere, look at all the money we can save. That's all it's about. Nobody ever says, gee, what kind of service do people get?
Yeah.
When there used to be a time you talk to somebody in Launceston or somewhere like that, well, at least they had an idea of how you were set up, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
And you understood what they were saying and they understood what you were saying.
Yeah.
G'day, Mark.
G'day, guys. How are we all doing?
Very well, Mark. What's up, mate?
Oh, no, it's funny you the Nokia 3310 was brought up.
Yep.
I've just been browsing a few tech blogs and websites that I want to do, but I've got no life. And I've come across some interesting stuff about Apple and Samsung, and I think maybe also LG, investing quite a few dollars in adapting flip phone technology to their current smartphones.
Yeah, that's right.
Anything.
What they're doing there, they're looking at installing bendable screens into their phones. So you'd have something, say, the normal size of an iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy, whatever, and when you pull it out of your pocket, you can then unfold it, and you've got double the screen size. That's what they're trying to do.
I like it a lot.
It's Back to the Future.
It's pretty cool. So
any idea what the lead time will be?
The lead time, well, I think we'll probably see it with hover cars and when everything's powered with a fuel cell. So you just put a little bit of salt water in whatever device you want to run, and it goes for a week. Folding displays, I mean, even though the concepts are out there, I think it's going to be a while before we can actually put a folding display phone in our pocket.
Oh, you mean to say it's not coming out next week?
Not next week.
Oh, come on. You're a killjoy.
It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. How's that?
Good on you, Mark. Yeah, everyone likes the idea. mind you, of course, it then also assumes it happens flawlessly, which, well, you and I tend to know things like that don't.
Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And you know what? We seem to notice when it doesn't.
Oh, yeah, we notice when it doesn't, all right.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Now, a question that Carmen had, how do you go about changing ISPs?
Well, it's really simple. You just, once you've done your research and you find an ISP that you like, you call up that ISP and you say, I want to move to you guys. I want to change over my plan to you. And it's actually, in the industry, it's called a churn, C-H-U-R-N.
Yeah.
And even if you were to say, I'd like to churn to you guys, you'd have the operator on the other end of the line go, oh, okay, no worries. And they get right onto it. So it is a process, and the ISPs have this agreement where they honour these churns, and it usually happens quite painlessly.
So once again, this one actually might happen overnight.
Not quite overnight, but it will happen, yes.
Very quickly. As always, Ben, a pleasure. We'll have a chat to you next week.
Always fun to come on down.
And don't forget that website, Ben Aylett, 1L2Ts in Aylett.com.au.
It's easy to love your local IGA. I know I do. The people, the local products, the great service. And now, IGA's...